Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. I'm Karen Kozia Phillips. News is live at noon. Topping the news at this time, scores of people are at this time gathered outside the Children's Hospital in Couva to protest against what they say is bad governance in the country. The United National Congress planned the demonstration for 10:30 this morning. Its deputy political leader, Dr. Rai Ragbir, gave the reason for such action.
As we approach the Children's Hospital, the non-opening of the hospital, the failure in the health sector, no medication in CDAP, no medication in the hospital, lack of surgery because of a lot of suppliers have not been paid. Even cancer, drugs is an issue. When we go to crime, it's a tremendous issue for everyone. Every day we hear about 2 murders. Now we look at unemployment, many people losing their jobs, and all the tertiary education facilities, they're churning out students like they do every year. And there are no opportunities for these young graduates to get jobs.
And our reporter Rishi Harinanan is in Couva. He's been following the protest. Good afternoon, Rishi. What can you tell us about this latest protest?
Well, we are here outside the Couva Children's Hospital on the Solomon Hochoi Highway, just after the Crystal flyover. The protesters just got here about 10 minutes ago. The opposition leader, the political leader of the UNC, addressing the media at this time. Now, she also addressed the media earlier when supporters gathered at the Crystal Recreation Ground, and then they walked up here. When she addressed the media, she highlighted 2 main issues they want to be addressed. One is that of the opening of the Children's Hospital in Couva. She said it will create employment and there are many benefits for the people of the country if this hospital is open. She's calling on the Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Rowley, the Minister of Health, and also the Minister of Finance to work to get this facility up and running. She said it's long overdue and it is something that will definitely benefit the country in the long run. The other issue was that of property tax. The supporters here have been chanting no property tax because they are saying that it will be a burden on them. The opposition leader has said that they will be looking to take this issue to court. It's something that they've been saying for a while now. A couple of action protocol letters have been sent as well to the Minister of Finance and the authorities as it relates to this. So she maintained that action will be taken against the property tax if it is allowed to go through as it is. They have constantly called for this matter to be taken back to Parliament so that they can look back at the laws and see how they can address it. Now, supporters start to gather just before 10 o'clock. Now, there is a lot of police officers here. They have blocked off part of the highway for the protesters, and they are directing traffic accordingly. Traffic is backing up a little bit, heading south. However, the police are here, and from what we understand, the protest is going on until 12:30. So in just a few minutes, everything should probably clear in this area. And police, as I said, are here to keep an eye on what is taking place. Rishi Harinanan, news.
Thank you very much, Rishi, out there in Couva at the hospital protesting, of course, the UNC protesting the property tax and the opening of the Children's Hospital. And as she addressed the gathering, opposition leader Kamla Prasad Bisesa described the government as wicked and said enough is enough.
Whilst they are busy looking for loans to build hospitals, we have a hospital that we built that is complete, that is fully equipped and ready for use. But because of this wicked Rowley government, they will not open the hospital. They will not provide proper health care for the children and adults of our country.
Well, last Friday evening, there was a protest at the same venue that allegedly contributed to a heavy traffic jam along the southbound lane of the Solomon Hochoi Highway that backed up to the Churchill-Roosevelt Highway and left motorists and commuters stuck in several hours of traffic. The Ministry of National Security has since launched an investigation to determine if action can be taken against anyone found culpable for causing the traffic mayhem. And Minister of Health Terrence Deyalsingh has reiterated there is no need for another children's hospital in the country. He responded to questions about government's plans for the facility at a health reform consultation in St. Augustine last evening.
We inherited a facility that had no basis in fact. There is no pediatrician I have spoken to that could tell me that we needed another children's hospital, especially when you had the Wendy Fitzwilliam Pediatric Hospital, which has never been 100% utilized.
Minister Deyalsingh said the hospital was not vested with any of the regional health authorities. and noted staffing the facility will be a problem.
If we had to roll it out as another children's hospital to have pediatric oncologists, a pediatric nephrologist, a pediatric, it means we would have had to take all the staff from Wendy Fitzwilliam, put them there, and then Wendy Fitzwilliam would have become denuded and empty.
He again said government is looking to use a public-private partnership model to have the facility up and running. This is a CNews Live report at noon. Remember, you can keep up to date with all the latest news on our website at ctvtt.com, or you can check out our Facebook and Twitter pages at CNews Live. The opposition United National Congress continues to question the legality of the property tax and now the extension given for the submission of the valuation return forms. At the post-cabinet briefing on Thursday, the Minister of Finance moved the deadline from May 22nd to June 5th and said this was as a result of the high number of people dropping in their VRFs. Added to the 150,000 delivered already, he expects some 250,000 more to be dropped in.
60,000 to 150,000 just in a couple of days. So because of this response, and it is obvious that people want to get involved with this process of having their properties valued and assessed, and they want to pay the tax.
However, UNC Deputy Political Leader Dr. Rai Ragbir said such acts are illegal according to the law.
The act shows that your deadline is 31st of March, and beyond that 6 months where the 10% penalty lies if you don't fill out your form, and beyond that in the next 6 months. Now, the thing about it, where is it written in a document 22nd of May is the closing date, and now we've been told by the Minister of Finance that we've gotten probably a week or so extra. So if you follow that and you follow the letter of the law, when is it the 6 months will be expired? When is the next 6 months? Because the act is very clear in terms of penalties.
To other news now, the Law Association has announced the establishment of a committee on judicial appointments. The 7-member committee includes Justice Desiree Bernard, former judge of the Caribbean Court of Justice and Chancellor of the Court of Appeal of Guyana, as chairman, Dr. Terrence Farrell, David Abdullah, Rajiv Prasad, Tracy Robinson, Vanessa Gopal, and Rishi Das. The committee is expected to examine the constitutional and other arrangements pertaining to the selection and appointment of judges of the High Court and the Court of Appeal, and to make recommendations with a view to ensuring due process, transparency, and accountability while maintaining the dignity of judicial officers and the independence of the judiciary. They are also expected to consult with stakeholders and members of the public and to receive and consider their written and oral submissions. And finally, they are to report to the Council of the Law Association within 3 months or such further period as the Council may allow. Here now is Ian Wallace with your afternoon weather.
The wet season carries on, but the Saharan dust is in charge through today and will likely continue to bring hazy, dull skies nationwide. But there is some moisture drifting over the southern coastlines, so some added cloudiness is possible for southern Trinidad. Look for a hot 33 degrees Celsius in Trinidad and 31 degrees Celsius in Tobago. Locally strong easterly winds will continue to greet sailors, out in the Atlantic especially, 20 knots pushing to 25 knots, bringing sea spray and whitecapping activity with choppy seas of 2 to 2.5 meters and short easterly swells of 8 seconds. Your low tide at 4:30 p.m. with your high tide at 11 p.m. That's the latest weather, and I'm meteorologist Ian Wallace.
Trinidad and Tobago is ranked as the 88th healthiest country in the world out of 163 countries. And according to Health Minister Terrence Deyalsingh, there's much that needs to be done to improve the lifestyles of citizens. In a report published by Bloomberg Global Health Index, Italy is ranked number 1. The report ranks world countries on a number of variables like life expectancy, causes of death, health risks like high blood pressure and smoking, and environmental factors. Speaking at UTT's Biomedical Engineering Conference this morning, Minister Deyalsingh listed some statistics.
And their offices, how they eat, how they drink, how they conduct their daily lives is important. On those bases, where Bloomberg ranks countries from healthiest to the least healthy. As I said, Italy is 1, United States is 34, Barbados is 47, Trinidad and Tobago is 88.
In an effort to reduce NCDs, Minister Deyalsingh said more needs to be done by citizens.
We are not a healthy country. We are not a healthy society. And most of this unhealthiness is due to our eating habits, our lack of physical activity.
And addressing the Ministry of Health's reform consultation last evening, Mr. Deyalsingh said government may not be able to continue paying the public health care bill if it continues to increase as is happening now. He gave some figures to show the increase over the years. He said the cost of dialysis treatment rose from $28 million in 2012 to $68 million in 2013 to 2016. While the number of people seeking cardiac care at the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex rose from 4,000 in 1995 to over 25,000 in 2016.
If we don't change our response to our health issues from a treatment reactive model to a proactive preventative model, we cannot continue financing these things. We want to hear from you. How are we going to reverse NCDs? Reverse the number of people to the tune of $68 million that require dialysis.
And the minister quoted a Bloomberg report which ranked Trinidad and Tobago as 88th out of 173 countries in terms of health care.
And a lot of that, as Bloomberg will tell you, is because our average blood pressure is too high, our sugar intake is too high, and we depend on medication too much. So these are not stories being made up. What the Welsh Committee is saying and what we are saying, we have to change from this reactive model to a more proactive model.
While the various regional health authorities are looking at ways to employ young graduate doctors. This from the chairman of the Southwest Regional Health Authority, Dr. Alexander Sinanan. He said after graduating and completing their internship, young doctors all look for jobs as house officers.
If we have people who are acting in higher positions, as registrars, etc., if they are adequately qualified, they can be offered a substantive post, thereby freeing up the jobs at the junior levels. As the minister also mentioned, we're looking at the overall HR plan, because at the end of the day, producing 140 junior doctors without those doctors moving up in terms of specialization and improving their skills, they're not going to be of much use after a while.
And he said they will also be working with the university to improve the postgraduate programs. Further news now, there's always a cheaper alternative to banking that customers should look at. The Bankers Association says there are many options for people to choose from when it comes to services they take from a bank, and all they have to do is ask about it. Over the past few months, people have been complaining about bank fees and waiting in long lines, and member banks of the Bankers Association are looking to address those concerns.
Heavily that the online and mobile services, the technology-driven services, are very much at a reduced rate, and customers should familiarize themselves and rest assured that the banks have taken all the infrastructural and security measures in place to ensure that your investment is secured.
The association is also promising improved customer service by their member banks.
With the CSRs, their frontline staff,
Good.
you know, so you would see some improvement and greater efficiency. You know, so it's a total rollout, a comprehensive campaign that we are doing, because we really want to be able to provide that efficient service to the customer.
BAT is hosting an education drive to address concerns raised by members of the public. It started on May 16th and will go until May 27th. Venues for the event can be found on their website. Well, sports news is coming up next. Well, it was all for a good cause as several celebrities and businessmen and women took to the golf course for a round of golf at Brechin Castle and the Shagaramas public course. Heading the list of celebrated players on the day in Couva was former TT and West Indies batting star Brian Charles Lara, who was playing with a heavy heart, as he remembers his good friend Scott Anderson. The event was held to benefit the Scott Anderson Youth Achievers Award, which helps to introduce and develop underprivileged youth in the sport of golf. Lara was also a big hit with the kids from the Sevilla Private Primary School, as he was nearly mobbed by his adoring band of pre-teens. Always a good sport, Lara would even take time out to take a few selfies with the youngsters, many of whom would have been seeing him up close for the very first time and didn't want to miss the chance to touch and be photographed with him. Scott Anderson was himself a former professional golfer with a very bright future until illness struck, and he subsequently died back in January of this year. And that's it for sport. And that's how we end the C News at Noon Report. I'm Karen Koze-Phillip. Remember, for up-to-date and breaking news throughout the day, you can visit the C News website at ctvtt.com. Do have a good afternoon.